Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing something slightly different. I'm working on a journal page. I don't have a pre-prepared make with me. I'm going to do a journal page following the Take 5 girls, group of talented artists and art journalers that take 5 prompts and turn it into a journal page. And they very kindly let other people play along with them. So I thought I'd give it a try this month. So this is a page from my Junk and Disorderly journal, which I love because I think it's because I can take the pages out. So if things don't go quite to plan, I can take the page out if I don't like it. And I also don't spoil pages I like with leakages and things like that. So that's why I like this. So the first prompt, well actually there's 5 prompts. There's butterflies, circles, collage, handwritten quote and blue. So I'm putting my blue in now. I'm actually just going to take some of these colours. These are Adirondack colours. I'll read you the names in just a minute because I'll be waiting for this to dry soon. And I'm literally just going to pop them on my page and try and spread it across. I'm going to put a bit of green in as well. Okay, and I've put a bit of white at the top, so I'm just going to kind of scrape that across. What I like about doing it with a palette knife is you don't really know what you're going to get. You have to embrace the imperfection, which is fun. I'm just going to add a little bit more here. And I'm liking where that blend of colours is going. Okay. What I love about art journaling is it's just the freedom to play. You're not having to think about perfect finished product at the end. It's just a means to play, a means to experiment, learn as you go, and that's what I really love about that. So I said while I was letting that dry I would let you know the paints I use. So my white is a Do Crafts one, and then I have Adirondack, I have got Cloudy Blue, Pool and Willow. So those are all the ones that I have for this. And it is still recording. I had a bit of a heart attack there, it looked like nothing was happening. So I'm just going to put that to the side for a minute and let that dry. Now my idea is to try and create some quirky trees. I'll just take that away as well, that was just my drop sheet for the messy paintery effect. And I'll bring in a clean one of these. So what I've done is I've die cut on some craft card the Polka Doodles Icy Branches, and they are just gorgeous and so versatile. And what I want to do is just to add a little bit of extra depth to that. So I'm going to use some Distress Oxides. This is one of my new colours. I'm going to add some Distress Oxides just down one side, just to give that a little bit of depth. So yeah, so I think this time you're going to see my creative process more. See me do things and change my mind as I go along. Decide I like it, fall out with it, bring it back, all of that sort of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. And you can let me know in the comments what you prefer. If you prefer me being slightly organised, or if you prefer just seeing the scatterbrained creation come together. I do have an idea in my head, so that's always good. So we do have something. So I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I have a loose sort of plan. So yeah, I've just popped that down, and just to give a little bit of difference. I think what I also might do while I'm here, and also because I'm waiting for my paint to dry, I'm hoping this video is not going to turn out to be too long, or I might have to do some editing. I kind of want it to be live and real time. For me, I prefer those style of videos when I watch them. But at the same time, I don't want you to be bored. I don't want you to have to watch, 3 hours of paint drying, because that's not fun for anybody. So while I'm in here, I'm just going to add a little bit of doodles along the side, just to kind of bring that to life a little bit. So those are my tree branches. So one of the elements mentioned in the Take 5 was collage. So what I've done is, Polka Doodles have this range called Posy Doodles. And what Nikki's done is she's got the whole mixed media thing and put it into a paper pack. And so it's great for making quick and easy cards, but it's also great for journaling. I love it for journaling because all the mixed media look is there. And you can pay a fortune for collage elements for journal pages. You can also just take them out of magazines if you want. But if this is a set you have in, it's a really good idea. And as I said, I do enjoy using this set for journal pages. In fact, I'll show you my junk. I'll show you a couple of pages of my junk journal so that you can get an idea of what I mean. So both of these, see that? Both of these have been done using the Posy Doodle range. So for this one I fussy cut out some of the flowers and put them into the background. I also cut out the little birds, and then some of the borders of some of the toppers I've chopped off to make these long legs. This is another one. I used a tag from the kit, a few leftover bits of paper, fussy cut out that girl. But because they've already got a mixed media feel to them, to add them to a journal page, it's so easy. So that's why I've gone for my collage element in this page. And what I'm wanting to do is to turn these into sort of funky looking trees. So that's the plan. So what I'm going to do now is take this back in. It's still a little bit damp, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the recording a minute and I'll be back with you once this is dry. Okay, so I've dried that. I've actually blasted it with a heat gun. Normally I prefer to let things dry naturally, but I was impatient to get the video done, so I've given that a good old blast with the heat gun. So I've got my trusty The Great Outdoors stencil again from Polka Doodles. I did say that it was the best stencil ever. So if you've actually discovered my channel and seen the past couple of videos, you'll see I use this one a lot. Yeah, it's just great for making really nice scenes. So what I'm going to do to make this background look a bit more like a scene, I'm going to add some of these little clouds. And so I'm just really going to move these across the page. And just, I've got with my white paint and a stipple brush, I'm just going to add it. Now I don't always necessarily do the full cloud, sometimes I kind of do them so that they look a little bit patchy. I'm just going to randomly place some of these in the background. I think I'll have one coming off the page. I always think if something comes off the page it looks a bit more natural. Always need stuff off the page. Okay, so I've popped a few of those in. We'll see how we go. Yeah, quite like that. And then I've also, Nikki's got, I think it's called the accent stamps. So I've got these ones. This one's got little dots and stars. There's also little trees, and again I've chopped them up for ease of use. So this bit here will be part of my circle prompt, and also the little trees that I just cut out earlier. I cut them out with a die, so I'm just adding a bit of interest, adding some of these circles, because quite frankly dots also seem to go on every single page that I do. So I've taken some of the various blues there. I think in one of my card making videos I talked about the fact that I loved layers. I think this is where you can really go to town with art journaling. But sometimes it's kind of wondering where to stop. I'm also thinking that maybe if I put some of this green and a little bit of yellow and some of the blue, it's a bit random, it might create some sort of kind of almost bush type look. Who knows? My head's a strange place. Sometimes I worry about it, the things I come out with. But in my head that makes sense. It's little bushes, little circle bushes. So it just helps me to live in my fantasy land. So I'm just going to stipple that a bit as well. So again, so I've got a little bit of a horizon and quirky quirky bushes. Okay, so that's a bit of a background. Now I'm going to bring my funky looking trees in. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to have one coming off the page. I like things in threes. I always think that a design works better if it's in three. But these circles are quite big, so I don't think there's room for three. But I don't particularly just want two. So let me have a little look. So this is going to be another part of my circle element, but also my collage element. So I'm going to use these as collage papers. I know I did say that already. I'm just making sure that I'm keeping up with the theme that the lovely girls over at the Take 5 Art Challenge have come up with. So I'm thinking something like that. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So what I'm going to do is get some glue. If you're wondering what that great big wire thing is, I've lost the lid to my glue, as I do. Normally the lid lasts me a little longer than it did this time. You can use all sorts of glues. Gel medium's normally quite good. I don't have a huge selection of mixed media products at the minute. I do a lot of mixed media. I love it. But with regards to actual products, I don't have a huge amount. But it just goes to show, use what you have. Have a little rummage. If you're anything like me, you'll have been buying craft stash and it's all stored away. Sometimes it's good to get old stuff out, like those paints. I bought them forever ago. Forever, ever. On a TV channel that no longer does any crafting, so that's how long ago I bought those. And I could tell, because as I opened it up, there was all sorts of little dry, crackly bits. Not ideal, but you know, it's going to add to the texture, and I'm just going to tuck that bit over, because I just think it adds to the quirkiness, layer effect. Probably shouldn't have put glue all the way over, because I'm going to be chopping some of that off. Right, just double checking. Okay, just a bit more glue on that. Okay, so that is my collage element. So I've got 3 of the 5 elements. I've got the blue, the collage and the circles. Oops, and that's why I shouldn't have put glue on the full circle. Now I'll not waste these little bits that I'm about to chop off. They will appear somewhere else. I'm actually thinking for one of my videos a bit later on, I'm going to take all the scraps of all the different projects I've made recently and make something with the scraps, because I don't like to waste anything. It can all be used. Now, I want to bring, I need a little bit more glue under that, sorry. I'm just going to lift that and squirt a bit more glue. See, this is why having a proper gel medium might be useful, but we can make it work. Now, I want to try and make a focal of just one of these trees, which I'm going to go for this one. And I want to knock these ones back a bit, so to make them more part of the background. The way I do that is to get my stencil out again, and I'm going to take some of that paint and go over that and take it out into that now. That's gone quite green because of the last lot I did, so I'm going to go over again with blue. It doesn't matter. And what that does is it just makes these trees almost part of the background, because we've got the same sort of detail in them. I'm going to do a little bit here as well. So I'm just going to bring that out. Oops. I've got half a circle there, it looks a bit funny to me. There we go. And I'll put another bit out there. So what that has done is that's knocked it into the background a bit. So once that paint dries, I will be pulling this tree forward a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm just going to add a bit of stamping at the bottom here, just to try and add a little bit of interest. So I've got 2 stamps, again from Polka Doodles, and I have got Dragonfly Doodles, that's this one, and I have got delicate doodles. So there's lots of little things. So I've just spotted another circle. I love circles. So I'm going to use that one there. I'm going to use my StazOn. I haven't actually used watercolour, so I could probably get away with the Memento, but because I'm going to be putting lots of layers and lots of mediums and I don't quite know where I'm going yet, StazOn's a safer bet. So yeah, we can maybe use some of these circles and add them to our background. Oh, sorry for stretching across the camera there. I'll bring this to me. Now you should always take your ink to the stamp, but sometimes when I'm doing lots of quick random stamping, doing it the other way around is great. So I'm going to do that. That's again adding a bit of the circle element. Now what I might do is fill those circles in a bit later, add a bit of extra colour. And I've also just spotted in this one that we've got this kind of little quirky mushroomy type tree thing, and because those are circle trees, these might tie really well to have them in the foreground. So I'm going to stamp a few of those. And they're getting lost a little bit, so let's see how many of these I stamp. As I said, this was going to be very fluid. You'd see my creative process a little bit more. Okay. I do like that, but what I'm going to do I have any stamping card to hand? I do, I've got a little bit here. What I'm going to do is just stamp some of those onto white card. I'll just do the one for just now and just show that. And then I'm going to take some Distress ink, some of the picked raspberry, and a little paintbrush. Sorry, I'm stretching over the camera again. And I'm just going to paint that in kind of loosely. And then I'm going to fussy cut that out and add those elements to my page. Now because this is where I normally do my prep with my cards, I've got lots of mushrooms and flowers and whatever I decide to use ready. Because I don't want you to see me having to colour 100 trees, I'm going to pause it now and I'll come back when I have done that and fussy cut them. Okay, so that's me stamped out those little quirky houses. Try and make sure that's straight on your page. And popped them on. Then I also popped a little bit of paint on the trees. I'd lost the gorgeous squiggly lines of the stamps by doing that, so I just drew them back in with a paint pen. And I'm just wanting to add a little bit more interest. So I've got a kind of branchy, leafy stamp from the same stamp set, and I'm going in with a Memento Bahama Blue. I'm just going to try and add a bit more foliage to this. It's funny, I'm stamping at a really funny angle here so that it looks okay for you guys on camera. So yeah, I'm just kind of layering up this foreground. It's looking quite good. Okay, happy with that. Then I'm going to bring back my amazing stencil. And let's see how am I going to do this. Will we go with Distress inks? Let's try it. I'll try it with Distress inks and see if it shows up against that paint. And just to add a bit more definition to this grass. It's not really showing through. Okay, so I think I'm going to need to see if I've got another. I've got a little stencil brush here. Let's see. I'll just play around with this a little bit. We'll just have to do it with paint. I have no idea how this will turn out because I have not done this with paint. But I'm just, again, mixing my blues and yellows together to kind of create a bit more variety and definition to this grass. I'm just going to pull it in. I'm just moving it down and across the page randomly. colours in the different places, because yeah, it's looking alright. Just drag the paint that's already stuck on the stencil down for that last little bit. So yeah, so we've got, it's looking a little bit more grass-like. Okay, so I need to let that grass in the foreground just dry off a bit. So what I'm going to do is emphasise my trees. I know loads of art journalers do this, that can be done with so many different mediums, but it's just creating a bit of shadow around the collage elements. A lot of people use a pencil. I find I don't get as much control, so I tend to like to use an Inktense pencil. It's watercolour based, so it gives me a little bit more control. So I've got deep blue here and iron blue. So I'm going to go for the deep blue first, and then if it's not dark enough, I'll pull in with the other one. Now the reason I like Inktense is it's got the freedom of watercolour. So you've kind of got that kind of, it forgives, watercolour forgives a little bit. So if I go in too heavy at first, I can I'm just going to pull the water closer to me. You can pick it up very quickly. But because it's an Inktense, once it dries, it's permanent. So especially when I am going on lots of layers. It's not too bad with this one because my background's acrylic, but quite often if I've done, used my distress inks, or I've used my watercolours, as you add more water onto a project, it's going to move what's underneath it, and I don't really want that happening. So once the Inktense is down and dry, it's permanent. So it means I can kind of layer that up. So what this will do is it just helps those trees to stand out from the background. Kind of sticking with the light blue. Okay. And popping that all the way around. So again, this probably isn't something that you want to see me do, but I'm just going to gradually go right round and add that shadow. And you can see what I might do as well if I go in with a darker one, as this one's drying. Oops, and just add the slightly darker ink. And I'm adding it really close to the collage element and then pulling it out, and because it's watercolour I can just pull it out. So again, what I'm going to do is stop the video for you there and come back once I've done that edging. Okay, so I'm back, and hopefully you can see the fact that I have outlined those trees and now how they stand out from the page a little bit more. And what I did was I used that darker colour, the iron blue, round this one particular tree, so it stands out even further. Now if you look, these trees still look like they're floating a little bit, so I'm just taking a little bit of the darker blue paint and I'm just going to smoosh it a little bit under the tree stumps so that they don't look like they're floating in the air. I'll maybe do some little bitty ones around these quirky pink mushroom trees as well. I'll put some randomly throughout just to give it a bit of a cohesive look. So now just by doing that, we now have a little bit more of a scene because the trees don't look like they're floating. Now the other thing I did whilst I was off camera was I just added a little bit more interest to the front by stenciling some more white dots on the grass, and I've actually added some blue stars to the top as well. I just felt that there's a lot going on at the top, which I like, but there's not as much going on at the bottom, which bothered me a little bit. It just needs a bit more balance. So I've got some of these tiny circle stamps that come in the same sets that I mentioned, and I'm just going to take my Distress Oxide picked raspberry, and I'm just going to randomly put a few bits of pink here just to look like little pink flowers. So I'm going to do it quickly, just just to kind of build that up a bit, and hopefully you can see that that's a difference. I think it's just kind of brought it all together a little bit. Okay, sorry, gone quiet there. Trying to craft and think at the same time. Who knew? Who knew? So I'll put some of these in as well. These ones are kind of similar circles, but they're just a bit longer, so they'll give a slightly different effect. So if we put a few of these in, I'm hoping that that's just going to help a little bit. Okay, so I think that's me fairly happy with my scene. And now I'll go on to the next prompt. So the next prompt was to add butterflies. So I've already stamped and coloured my butterflies from the stamp sets that I've been using. And I want to, I think I'll add, I think one on that white space is good because we can see it, sorry. And I'm just trying to work out where I like butterflies facing at different angles. Yeah, I think I'll maybe put them across those two little mushroom ones because it will help to, they stand out against, because I've coloured them green. They're not particularly standing out if I put them in the grass or sky. So just to give it a bit of dimension as well, I'm only going to put a little bit of glue down at the side. That is one thing as I also like about the junk journals, is that you can make the pages as thick as you want because they're not a set size. You just keep adding pages as you want. And so it means you can go a bit wacky with the embellishments, and it doesn't mean you have to start pulling signatures out and things like that. So we're almost done. One of the last prompts was a handwritten quote. So I am just going to very quickly, I was writing over paint with this pen earlier, so let's hope it still works. I'm just going to handwrite a quote. Oh, sorry, head. Let's hope I've not done that too much. I watched back one of the videos the other day and my head popped into it far too much, and I was going to try and be a lot more aware this time, but I'm not really managing. So I'm just going to write, "You are free," and then to fly. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. I'm not one of these brush letter people. That is amazing. Can't find my trusty little pink scissors. Oh, there they are. They're not even pink, they're orange. And I'm just going to chop round that. I'm not even going to try and make it straight because I don't really want it straight. I want it kind of looking fairly quirky. So maybe put I can actually cut out a square slightly less cat-handedly than that, but hey ho. Right, I'm just going to get my Pro marker and edge that a little bit. So again, just so it stands out the page, all of these things help the page just to, the elements that you want people to see, help you to be able to see them. It's quite a busy page. Not sure that was quite my intention when I started, but hey ho, I think I like it. Do you like it? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you were thinking, "Julia, stop, let it go, less is more," or whether you think it's fine, go for it, splash it on. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that on. I think I'm happy with the things there. I'm trying not to faff too much because I have no idea how long this video was. Because I've done it in lots of little segments, I can't actually see the time. See, at the minute I think I'm doing really well because it's 6 minutes 35 seconds, but I think I've done that quite a few times, so probably closer to half an hour or something, hopefully. Okay, So that's me done that. I'm just going to add a border to bring it all together. So I'm going to use my black Posca pen for that. Sorry, I'm going to have to turn my page for this to film water on this somehow. And I'm just going to draw a little squiggle, and hopefully that'll just bring it all together and make it look a little bit less busy. I'm not even going to think, I like to have it nice and wobbly. Okay, I'll just do the two sides. I think I'll go behind the tree. Okay, so what I do is just do rough lines like that, and then I block them in. So I'm going to colour that with my black Posca. It's still a little bit wet there, so it's fighting with me a little bit. So, and then I will come in with my white Posca pen and just create that kind of black and white. Not truly black and white, because to be honest the Posca pen kind of picks up the things behind it, so, but you get the idea. So again, what I'm going to do is just take myself off camera, because I don't think you want to see me colouring 100 little squares, and I will bring it back in a minute. Okay, so I'm back and I finished my little border. I also really wasn't happy with the bottom of it. There was just, I don't know, too much green, too much space. I wasn't completely happy, so I started off doodling some little scallops, and then I decided to fill them in with white, so I'm a bit happier with that. So now I just need to do my finishing touches, which is going to be just a little bit of doodling. So I'm going to get my black Posca pen and just emphasise these little scallops, just very loosely drawing over them, and do a couple of lines like that, and then some little scribbles. Little scribbles cover a multitude of sins. Okay, now one of the other things that I love to do, especially when I've done circles, is I cut these particular circles out using my dies. And I've just realised I've grabbed the two. It was these two that I used. Oops, sorry. Random piece of wire. So what I just like to do is grab the die that I use, sorry, turning that round on you, and just trace the circle around. Now, I normally do a few at slightly different angles, just moving it round just that little bit, and it just gives this kind of doodled circle bit. And because I'm not great at circles, using the die as a template. Now I'm also going to do both black and white, so I've got my white Posca pen here as well. It's not showing up quite so much, maybe we just need to get that moving a little bit. And I can just do that one by freehand at the bottom. But it just creates a little thing. I'm just going to, sorry, losing my words. It's first thing in the morning. I actually let this dry overnight because my camera died. It ran out of battery just as I was almost finished. So it's now in the morning. Now, I should have done that before I'd put my butterfly on, but hey ho, you live and learn. I quite often manage to think of these things after the fact. And then I'm just going to move it again. Let's see, I'll do a white one as well. And it's just to create a few scribbly lines round my quirky trees. Don't know what it is, but for me these little doodles just kind of finish them off a little bit. I see loads of kind of circle stamps with little stitching details on them, and I want them all, because you know that's me, I love stamps. But you can tend to use what you have and get a similar effect. And so that's when I started doing this, because I'd seen a set of circle stamps that had this really cool stitching detail on it, which I wanted and I thought would be gorgeous for this sort of thing, for art journaly thing, but I spent my money on other things. So I started doing this with my dies, and to be honest I think I'll stick to this because I that's not the lid, because I have a variety of sizes by going with my dies. So that is my page finished. So thank you to the girls at Take 5 Art Journal Prompts for letting other people join in. That's me done my prompts. I have the butterflies, the circles, the collage element, my handwritten quote and some blue. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again.